My father kicked me out for choosing art over law school. He said, "You'll come back begging." I didn't speak. I just left with my sketchbook. When my work sold at Sotheby's, he sat in the audience, not realizing whose painting was next until. I don't know if anyone will ever really understand how hard it is to stand up to the person who raised you. For me, it wasn't just hard, it was hell. I grew up in a small, conservative town in Ohio. You know the type. Neat little lawns, everyone knowing everyone's business, and your future already decided the moment you were born. My dad was that guy in town. The successful attorney. The man everyone called Sir? The guy who wore a suit to mow the lawn because you never know who's watching. From the time I could hold a pencil, I was obsessed with drawing. I'd sketch anything: faces in crowds, birds on power lines, the way light hit the window on rainy afternoons. It was like I couldn't breathe unless I was creating. My mom would smile at my doodles when I was a kid, but my dad, he'd shake his head, say it was childish, and tell me to focus on real things. By high school, it wasn't just discouragement anymore, it was pressure. He expected me to follow in his footsteps. Law school, just like him. The family name on the office door. The whole legacy crap. When I told him I wanted to pursue art, I thought he might try to talk me out of it. I was not prepared for what actually happened. It was after dinner. I had just gotten a scholarship offer from an art school in New York. I came into his office, heart racing, and told him. He looked up from his papers like I just told him I wanted to join the circus. "Art?" he said, voice like ice. "That's your big plan?" I nodded, trying to explain the scholarship, how much it meant to me. But he cut me off. "No. Absolutely not. You'll go to law school, and that's final. This, art fantasy? It's a waste of time. A waste of your life." I tried to stand my ground, I really did. I told him I wasn't asking for permission, just letting him know. That's when it happened. "If you walk out of this house for that, don't expect a single dime from me. Don't expect me to clean up after you when it fails. You'll come back begging, and I won't be there." I didn't even argue. My hands were shaking. My throat was tight. I just left. I grabbed my sketchbook, my pencils, a backpack of clothes, and I left. No big dramatic scene. Just the quiet sound of the door clicking shut behind me. I landed in New York with $200 in my pocket, and no clue what the hell I was doing. I slept on a friend's couch for a while, then in a crappy apartment that smelled like mold. I waited tables, cleaned offices at night, and painted every free second I had. It wasn't easy. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I got rejected so many times I lost count. Galleries wouldn't even look at my stuff. I heard no so much it felt like the only word in the world. There were nights I'd sit in that dark little apartment, staring at my half-finished paintings, wondering if he was right. But I couldn't stop. Every time I thought about quitting, I saw his face, that look when he told me I'd come back begging. And it lit a fire in me. I wasn't going to crawl back. Not for him. Not for anyone. Years passed. I worked my ass off. And slowly, things started to shift. A small gallery in Soho took a chance on me. One night, a collector saw my work, this abstract piece I poured everything into. He bought it. Then another. And another. It was like someone finally flipped the switch. People started paying attention. I was still broke most of the time, but I kept going. My work got into bigger shows. My name started to pop up in little blurbs in art magazines. It wasn't much, but it was something. Then, about a year ago, I got the email that changed everything. Sotheby's. They wanted to auction my painting. I couldn't believe it. I read the email 3 times, thinking it had to be a mistake. It wasn't. They wanted me. The night of the auction, I sat in the back of the room, nervous as hell, heart pounding. I watched the crowd, well-dressed people sipping champagne, flipping through glossy catalogs like they were browsing at a mall. And then I saw him. My dad. He was there, sitting near the front, looking all polished and proud like he owned the place. He didn't see me. He had no idea I was there. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And then the auctioneer called out the next piece. My painting. I watched my dad look up from his program. I watched the color drain from his face when the name was read out loud. My name. He looked around, like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Like he was trying to figure out if it was some kind of joke. I sat there, heart racing, as the bids started coming in. The price climbed higher and higher, 5 figures, then 6. People were raising their paddles left and right. I watched his face the whole time. He didn't say a word. He just sat there, stone-faced, as the hammer finally fell. The winning bid? $175,000. For my painting. I walked out of that room without saying a word to him. I never looked back. After that night at Sotheby's, I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd reach out. A text. An email. Something. He didn't. Weeks passed. I kept painting, kept working. I tried to focus on the next project, but it gnawed at me. Part of me wanted to tell him off. Part of me wanted to hear him say I was right. That he'd been wrong. That he was proud. But the silence stayed. Until the email. It came late at night. Just a single line. We need to talk. I stared at it for a long time. My hands shook. Part of me wanted to ignore it. But I couldn't. I agreed to meet him. We met at a coffee shop in the city. Neutral ground. When I walked in, I barely recognized him. He looked older. Tired. But still in that damn suit. He didn't say hi. Didn't ask how I'd been. He got right to it. I've been having some financial trouble. I blinked. You're a lawyer. You have a firm, not anymore. He cut in, voice tight. Let's just say, things haven't been going as planned. Clients pulled out. The market shifted. Legal trouble with a partner. It's complicated. I felt like I couldn't breathe. He sat there waiting. Then he leaned in. I know you sold that painting. I know what it went for. I need a loan. Just to get back on my feet. A laugh escaped before I could stop it. I looked him dead in the eye. I'm not your bank. His face went red. I'm still your father. You told me I'd come back begging. I didn't. But here you are. He slammed his hand on the table. People turned to look. I didn't care. You owe me. After everything I did for you, all the sacrifices I made. I stood up. Grabbed my coat. I don't owe you a damn thing. I walked out, heart pounding, adrenaline rushing. But that wasn't the end. The next week, a reporter reached out. Said they'd heard rumors, something about troubled artists and their questionable background. I didn't think much of it. Then the articles started. Little whispers in blogs, then bigger ones. Accusations that I'd stolen ideas, plagiarized styles, been propped up by wealthy backers. None of it true. But the damage started. I knew where it was coming from. It was him. I confronted him, called his office. The receptionist said he wasn't available. I tried again. No luck. Then I saw it. A post online. From his account. It was a long, rambling thing about entitled children who throw away their futures and destroy families for their selfish dreams. He never named me, but it was obvious. He hinted at everything. The scholarship. The gallery shows. Even Sotheby's. He was trying to drag me down. I wasn't going to let him ruin me. I called up a lawyer, an old friend from my waiting tables days. She took one look at the posts, the articles, the whole mess and said, "This is defamation. We have a case." I filed a cease and desist. He didn't back down. He started showing up at events where I was speaking, lurking in the back, arms crossed, staring. He even sent emails to some of the galleries I was working with, anonymous, but I knew it was him. He wanted me to fail. To crumble. I wasn't going to give him that. I started documenting everything. Every email, every post, every weird encounter. I built a case. And I kept painting. I poured every ounce of anger, heartbreak, and betrayal into my next series. It was darker, rawer. Like my soul on canvas. People noticed. The demand grew. The prices climbed. He tried to destroy me. And it was making me famous. It all came to a head about 6 months after that coffee shop meeting. I was showing a new collection at a major gallery in Chelsea. Huge event, packed house, collectors, critics, media. My name was on the walls. My paintings were front and center. I should have been thrilled. But all I could think about was him. I knew he'd show up. He couldn't stand that I was thriving without him. And he did. I spotted him near the back, stiff in his suit, watching like a hawk. His eyes locked on me, cold and calculating. I felt that old chill run down my spine, but I shook it off. I walked up to the podium to give a short speech, just a thank you, really, but then I saw something that made my stomach drop. He was whispering to a reporter. One I knew. I saw the smirk. The nod. The glance at me. He was trying to poison the well. Again. That's when something inside me snapped. I put down the microphone, walked straight over, and said, loud enough for half the room to hear. Careful what you say. I've got a lawyer on speed dial and a file the size of a brick. Try me. The reporter froze. My dad turned pale. The whispers started immediately. People heard. People saw. I wasn't done. I walked back to the front, took the mic, and said, calm, clear, but shaking inside. Some of you may have heard stories. Whispers. Lies. I'm here to tell you the truth. Every painting in this room is mine. My work. My blood, sweat, and tears. And anyone trying to tear me down, whether they're a stranger or even my own family, will fail. The room was dead silent. I saw the gallery owner nod. I saw collectors looking at my dad, then turning away from him. But the real revenge? That came 2 weeks later. The defamation suit went through. My lawyer was relentless. We had everything: emails, social media posts, witnesses. He tried to deny it, of course. Tried to act like the victim. Even claimed I was ruining his reputation. But in the end, he lost. The court ordered him to pay damages, a lot of money. Enough to make a dent in whatever he had left. And here's the twist, turns out, his financial trouble was worse than he let on. He was drowning in debt. Loans, unpaid taxes, bad investments. The damages from the lawsuit tipped him over the edge. He lost his house. His car. His office space. Everything. I found out he even had to file for bankruptcy. The last time I saw him, he was sitting alone at a diner in our hometown. Same suit, but it hung loose on him now, like it didn't fit anymore. He looked tired. Old. Defeated. I walked in, sat down across from him. He stared at me like I was a ghost. I just wanted you to know, I said, my voice steady. I'm not angry anymore. But you did this to yourself. You tried to tear me down. You could have been proud. You could have been in my corner. He didn't say a word. I stood up. Oh, and Dad? That last painting at Sotheby's? The one you bid on? That was you. I painted you. All your anger, your control, your bitterness. It sold for $250,000. He flinched. I left him there, in that booth, staring at nothing. My career took off. My paintings sold for more and more. I bought my own place. I built a life. And him? He faded into the background. A man who tried to crush his own child, and watched that child rise, while he lost everything. I don't hate him. Not anymore. But I'll never forget. And I'll never let him forget either. I thought that was it. I thought I'd had the last word. That I'd walk away with my dignity, and he'd fade into the background. But that wasn't the end. It never is it? About 6 months after the lawsuit, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was the bank. Apparently, my dad had listed me as an emergency contact for some business loan. A loan he never told me about. And now? They were coming after me. I was furious. I drove straight to his apartment, the rundown place he was living in after losing the house. I banged on the door so hard the neighbors peeked out. When he opened it, I could barely recognize him. His face was gaunt, his clothes wrinkled, that sharp arrogance replaced with this pathetic, hollow look. You listed me as a contact on a loan? I spat. Are you kidding me? He tried to play dumb, but I wasn't having it. I told him straight. You dragged my name into your mess one more time, and I'll make sure everyone knows exactly how you tried to destroy me. The whole story. Every dirty detail. You think you've lost everything? I'll make sure you don't even have your name left. He went pale. I'll fix it, he mumbled. I'll take care of it. I left, slamming the door behind me. And I did. I made good on my threat. I told everyone. I did an interview with a major magazine, my story on my terms. I laid it all out. The pressure. The manipulation. The threats. The years of rejection, and how I fought to build my career in spite of it. I even talked about the smear campaign. The story went viral. It hit a nerve. People reached out, other artists, kids who'd been pressured by their parents, even strangers who just wanted to say thank you for sharing it. But the real kicker? Turns out, my dad had a few skeletons in his closet I didn't even know about. That interview sparked investigations. A couple of clients from his law firm came forward, saying they'd been scammed, charged for services that were never delivered, fees that magically disappeared. The Bar Association launched a review. He lost his law license. Gone. Disbarred. The legacy he'd spent his whole life building? Crushed. I didn't see him again for a long time. Years, actually. Then, one day, I got a letter. No envelope, no return address. Just a folded piece of paper. It was from him. 2 sentences. You were right. I was wrong. That was it. No apology. No request for forgiveness. Just that. I laughed when I read it. Not because it was funny, but because it was pathetic. I burned the letter. I kept going. My art exploded in value. I opened my own studio, hired assistants, mentored young artists. I even started a program for kids from small towns, kids like me, who had dreams no one believed in. And my father? Last I heard, he was living in a small town a few hours away. No law degree. No money. No respect. Just a man with a bitter heart and a stack of regrets. He tried to crush me. He tried to destroy me. And in the end, he destroyed himself. That's the story. That's the truth. I didn't come back begging. He did. And I'll never forget the look on his face that night at Sotheby's, when the hammer came down, and he realized. That painting, the one that sold for $250,000? It wasn't just a painting. It was him. It was every broken dream, every angry word, every time he told me I'd never make it. And it was mine.